Hi folks, or buenas as I should say, and do normally say to be fair. Hope you're all doing well. I'm putting this up as a kind of a little bit of my interims. Last time I put up a video, I had properly completed the Cormac McCarthy, and I think I explained that I was kind of all over the place with some issues, which I'll explain in a second, and that I was going to be next reading hopefully a sort of non-grim book about from Nobel Prize winner, I should say, Vargas Llosa, if I got the name pronounced correctly. I've just not started at all. I made that the Cormac McCarthy video on Thursday of last week. Because I was about to go on a little scouting expedition to the city of Granada here in Andalusia, and which was great. Granada was amazing. Really liked it. But I've been challenged for like the kind of last 9 days by a power problem at my accommodation here, which has kind of essentially made me homeless really for a little while. So it took a long time to get reconnected. So instead of coming straight back here from Granada, I had to stay on with some lovely friends of mine in Almunecar, in the south of Spain, south coast, which was lovely and great. They were great company, everything, but it was very frustrating because I was getting behind on work, and there's a couple of big projects, and etc. etc. So anyway, all's well. I'm back in the casita. I'm sitting in the sunshine, though the forecast for next week is pretty grim. That's nice, that's great, and I'm beginning to kind of catch up with all of the things that I'm behind on, which is pretty reassuring. So that's all good. So I'm feeling starting to get a bit more calm about all that. I've got to say, this power thing, which I don't want to kind of go too much into because it's nobody's beeswax, but it has been pretty negative in many ways, including, it seems, on personal relationships, and it's made me very insecure, very unsettled, and I think I'm kind of dependent on too many factors outside my control. And this was never my plan to kind of stay here forever. It was to kind of use the opportunities it presented, for which I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful to a number of people who've been very kind to me, very helped me, but ultimately I need to be in a city. I think I need to be in a city. Now, I kind of always knew that was always part of the plan, but this has really crystallized that for me. And there's various things I need to do to make that happen, and there's admin, and there's some cost, and maybe I haven't kind of really been prepared to grasp the nettle there, but now I'm going to grasp the nettle. That's going to happen. I don't want to spend the whole video talking about that, and it's not interesting to people who kind of just want to know what the latest book that I've looked at is. So let's cut to that, okay? Well, no, I'll tell you a little bit about my health. Why not? Another part of my stress recently has been very convinced that my heart's in a bad way. I don't think it's as bad as I thought, and I don't know for sure yet. I need the NHS nurse to come back to me with the figures I've provided. I may not need medication. If I need medication, I'll take the medication. It's not a problem, right? Some challenges maybe about getting it to where I am in Spain at the moment, but I'm sure they're soluble problems, okay? So that's kind of made me feel a little bit better, but I know that stress affects my blood pressure, and I've had some very bad stress points since Christmas, really, and that's got a bit wearing. At the same time, I am upping my exercise levels. My rings tell me that I'm doing okay. Probably go for a nice walk after this, actually, which I haven't really been able to do so far. So that's kind of good. Fitness, diet really kind of starts again on Saturday. I've had a little bit of a holiday, really, and my whole kind of dry January went out the window, really, partly from stress, partly because I was on a road trip, partly because I was seeing people, partly because I wanted to. You know what, maybe I'll do February instead, which actually might be a really good idea, because I don't think I'll really be socialising in any way in that time, so that'd be good for me, right? Okay. So I haven't got my The Year of the Goat to talk about, but I do have another one of my kids' books because as part of my online teaching, I talked to, been working through a book with one of my very nice Chinese students, and I really liked it, and I'm going to say why. And I would say, well, okay, this is not. I recommended Charlotte's Web, Stuart Little, and Fantastic Mr. Fox as books anyone could read. And certainly the first two, I think, are kind of, even though they are essentially fantasies and aimed for children, there's a lot of interesting stuff in there. By the way, I didn't know that E.B. White is Strunken White, and I didn't realise he worked at the New Yorker most of his life, and I didn't realise he was a very kind of accomplished writer in that sense. The reason I didn't know that is I've got a rule, as you know, where I don't do Wikipedia before I read a book because I feel it will inform too much of my thinking, and I don't do it until I've done one of these videos afterwards, so that it doesn't affect my review. I want to be really honest and hopefully useful, because you can read Wikipedia yourself, can't you? Right? You don't need me to do that for you. Anywho, so the book I read was chosen by the student. I gave him some options, and it was timely because we started this before Christmas. Virtually Christmas by David Baddiel. I can't wave a copy at you because it was an ebook, but I'll include the link. And I really enjoyed this book. My 5-star rating, do you know what? It'd be 5. We rocketed through it. I think there's a lot of both fun and obvious fun and childish things, in the sense of it's ultimately a celebration of Father Christmas and those things. But you could also read it, and I think Baddiel had this in mind. It's a science fiction novel as well. It's a near future novel. And he's got some non-trivial points along the way, I think he makes, about surveillance, about internet culture, about commercialization, hyper-commercialization, navigating life as a younger person in the digital ecosystem. Though, as I said in my lecture to the Italian students last year, do you live on the savannah or a reservation? Okay, are we all controlled by these people? So there was quite a lot of satire in that point of view, and some comedy, often quite broad comedy, but I think that was interesting. And he was careful to say this is in the near future. One thing I thought was really clever was, I'm sure younger, smarter readers, as they all are, will pick it up, is that he sort of says, it's very clear that this is in a kind of climate crisis immediate future where there's no such thing as winter anymore, and that just doesn't happen anymore, so there's no more white Christmases, and he doesn't make a big deal of that, but it's definitely part of the story he wants to tell. It's also a future where one company has bought the internet, essentially, and maybe it's one facet of it, Winter Zone, and so there's no such thing as Santa anymore, but you have Santavatars, and you have virtual Christmas, is the point of the book, isn't it? And so what's happened, the backstory is, as we find out, is that they basically persuaded or bought out Santa, and they made him sign an NDA, which I think is interesting, and a contract to discuss in light of many recent events, to basically retire, and they took Christmas off him, off us, and have made it like a hyper, as I say, commercialized event. And now they want to do multiple Christmases and make it even more wonderful. And kind of a constant refrain, which I sang to the student, which he thought was funny, was it's the most wonderful time of the year. And God knows, we all get a bit sick of it, don't we, at Christmas, especially parents and buyers of things, and it just becomes ridiculous. But I think Baddiel is saying, yes, there's all that, and it's gone too far, and it could go in even further. Is that what we want? No. But there is still a spirit of Christmas, and not to give any spoilers away, we look at that. Probably designed for the protagonist, the central character. Sorry, I knocked the table in. Is an 11-year-old girl in a kind of split home family. Though I don't think she's seen the dad too much recently. And there's some, it's not made a big deal of. There's some tiny stresses and strains there in that kind of relationship, which kind of, I thought from Baddiel being kind of honest and saying this is how a lot of people live, and this is how this would probably sort of pan out. I thought it was good. I thought it was interesting. And there's a great kind of minor. Her buddy is, and this is pretty clever, really, because his Jewishness is hinted at, but not made a big deal of at all until exactly the right moment. And I thought that was very clever. And I was going to say that this is the first Baddiel I've read, but of course it's not the first It's not the first fiction from David Baddiel that I've read, because I really enjoyed Apart from Jews, or Except for Jews. I can't remember the exact title, which and I've so that was interesting. But I've not read any of his fiction. I think he's written fiction for adults, but I think he's written a boatload for younger people. And I thought he did a really good job. I thought it was funny. It had a really good story. There was some good drama. There's some good characters. I mean, what more could you want? I would say, I mean, obviously it's absolutely stupid to read time of year to read it now, but I mean, maybe tuck it away as a possible present for your kids to read with you, maybe next Christmas, or your grandkids, or your nephews and nieces, and whatever. I think it's fun. I think it's good. I think he did a good job, and I'd be interested if the student wanted to do more. I wouldn't read his kids' book off my own bat. I think it'd be a little bit silly. Considering it's I've got other books to read, nothing else. But I mean, if the student chose to do Baddiel, I would suggest Baddiel to other students. I think it's good. I think it rocked along pretty well, and it was an enjoyable experience, and it was a little bit of a palate cleanser after the endless brutality and bleakness, existential nihilism of Blood Meridian. Okay, right. So that's that. So I'm going to go back to work. I said I'd have a walk, go back to work, and then I will definitely start my proper fiction book reading on Saturday morning. It's Thursday now. I've got stuff to do. I don't think I'll commit to doing it before then. Got to watch The End of the Traitors 2, which has been very, very entertaining this year. And I think that's me for now. I would wish you a great weekend, and I will see you next week. And as I always say, hopefully encouragingly, hope you're getting on with that TBRP yourselves, guys. And yes, I probably need a haircut. Do I not? Yeah?